presidential Washington million law of a single Washington election.
Voting in election presidential.
Washington, the Washington.
Saying he's a dictator, leaves the media. Election.
Election.
Media voting. Election. Election.
Media voting.
Election. Presidential.
Election.
Voting.
Media.
Election. Media. Election. Presidential. Election. Media.
Voting.
Washington. Election. Presidential.
Voting. Election. Voting.
Election. Media.
The Washington election. The Washington.
Election.
Washington voting. Washington media. The Washington election. Washington media. Election. Election.
Voting. Election.
Media. Washington election.
Voting.
Election. President Pence.
The election.
The Washington election.
Selection.
Washington presidential election. The election.